you.
All right, this is Jonathan Flores. We're downtown at San Antonio for the March for Our Lives. This is Fleccas Talks. Okay, so what is your name?
Priyanka.
And what are you doing here today?
Sorry?
What are you doing here today?
I'm here to join the march against gun violence.
What exactly are we asking for right now?
With the march?
Yeah, like what do we want? What do we want to see besides gun violence? How do we get that?
To save our kids? Well, there's different things that we could do, I guess. One is help. I mean, make it harder to get the guns, especially like with the background checks and everything. There's been articles of people going into stores and coming out with an AR-15 in like 5 minutes. So
but if the background, because if someone doesn't have really like much of a background, like they have no police record, nothing, it goes by pretty quick.
I just think that the AR-15 should not be something that you should be able to.
Why not? Why not AR-15s? What's the difference from that?
They're assault rifles, so they.
What's an assault rifle?
I can't tell you what an assault rifle is like.
Okay. Well, I mean, so like it's a semi-automatic, like one thing. I mean, what's the difference from a gun? Like, why would a handgun be okay and not?
I mean, they're still not okay. There's still something that you need a background check in, but
right.
Assault rifles just make it easier for it to continue going off and like harder to stop the person with the gun.
What do you think about Trump?
I have to go.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I have to drop her to the airport. So
oh,
I'm sorry.
No, that's no problem.
When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? If we don't get it, shut it down.
All right. What is your name?
Jale Ostin.
What are you doing here today?
I'm here marching against the gun laws.
What does your sign say?
My sign says, "Let us pick up our books and our pens. They are the most powerful weapons." And it's a quote by Malala Yousafzai.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's more powerful than a gun?
Definitely, I do.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about protecting ourselves? Do you think guns are a good way to protect ourselves?
I mean, I feel like guns may definitely help you as far as self-defense, but I don't think they should be as easily accessible, and definitely don't justify the killings that have happened throughout schools worldwide or in the nation. If they're not as easily accessible, then people will not be able to shoot people as easily.
But there's over 300 million guns in America right now. Do you think if we made it harder, criminals would just be doing it on the black market instead? I mean, if they're going to be able to, they're going to get a gun no matter what. I mean, there's no way of stopping that. What do you think is the best way of stopping them from shooting people? Wouldn't it be for someone else to have a gun and shoot back?
Well, who's to say that a high school student is necessarily a criminal or would have access to an automatic weapon in the black market? Specifically focusing on the issues and the recent events that have happened at Douglas High School, that student was a high school student. Right. He had access to a gun, and the whole reason why we're out here is we're trying to make a statement that guns should not be as easily accessible. If criminals are going to access them through the black market or through illegal ways, then obviously, there's not as many preventative measures that you can take. But as far as making them easily accessible to the public, that is something that our government has the control over.
Yeah, but like this, what's the first thing you want to see done? What's the first thing you want to see done? Do you want to see age restriction, banning of certain weapons? Do you want to see the gun loophole at the gun show to end? What's the first thing do you think needs to be done?
I feel like definitely doing more thorough background checks is one of the first things that needs to be done.
How would that be, like more thorough than it already is? Because if you have if you have a criminal background, you can't own a gun. If you have anything violent, if you have assault on anyone, you can't own a gun. What else is there we need to look for?
Maybe more mental health issues. Just the fact that people are able to access automatic weapons.
Automatic weapons are banned, though. It's semi-automatic.
Semi-automatic weapons, I'm sorry, at such a young age should not be legal. 18? Even 18, there's no need for someone to own a semi-automatic weapon.
Handguns a semi-automatic weapon. Do you think we should ban handguns?
The reason why I'm here is because I'm trying to say that purchasing
all guns
should not be as easily accessible, regardless of whether they're semi-automatic, regardless of whatever type of gun they are.
Okay.
What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. If we don't get it, if we don't get it,
What's your name?
Chief McManus, Bill McManus.
What are you doing here today, sir?
What?
What?
Here to support the rally. Down here to support the kids and being safe in school.
So, what exactly does everyone want here? What exactly do you want right now with gun reform?
Well, I think what everyone wants is how to make their children safer in school, how to make the country safer when it comes to firearms.
Does that mean a certain type of gun, or does that include more security?
You know, there's a lot of different issues that go into this discussion, and it certainly isn't one thing. It's probably a multi-pronged approach, whatever that approach may be, and hopefully, we'll come up with that.
What do you think about President Trump's idea of arming teachers?
Again, there's a lot of different approaches in that. I think we need to flesh out all of them. That's just one of them.
Okay.
But I think at the end of the day, hopefully we'll come up with something that makes our kids safer.
Do you have any specific ideas right on your mind right now that you might think of?
No. Again, I think this is a discussion that needs to take place on a national level. And I think I'm anxious to see what comes out of those discussions.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it. What is your name?
Simone Washington.
Simone, what are you doing here today? Why are you here?
I'm here with Trinity University. We're showing our support for the students of Stoneman Douglas, and we're raising a collective voice saying we've had enough.
Enough
of politicians supporting gun lobbyists, of them putting prioritizing the interest of the NRA over human lives.
Some people say that the NRA is just trying to protect your right to own a gun. What do you think about that the NRA is looking out for us?
I think they're absolutely overstepping. I think people have a right to appreciate the Second Amendment and act on that, but I don't think that we should be allowed to have these weapons of mass destruction.
But weapons of mass destruction, the Virginia Tech shooter killed, he shot over 50 people, killed almost like 32, well, just 2 handguns. I mean, anything can really be used as a weapon of mass destruction, don't you think?
I think if you look at places like China, where they have more strict gun laws, they have they have events like this, but just at a smaller scale. So if you take away the opportunity to even use these guns and things like that, then we have less deaths, and that's proven time and again.
What do you think about the idea that the Second Amendment was made to protect ourselves from a government that may go tyrannical? Because a lot of people don't like President Trump, and they think he's a racist, they think he's a homophobe. Do you ever think that if he ever went rogue because he has control over the military, do you think that we need to be on the same level as the military to protect ourselves from them?
Absolutely not. I think there's so many things in place to keep him in check. Obviously, he's been the most volatile president we've had with his speech, but I do think that if he was a serious threat to our lives, that there are the Defense Department is in place to kind of keep us safe.
What was the first thing you want to see done in gun reform? What was the first thing you like, banning of something, or putting the restriction on ages on who can buy a firearm, or the gun show loophole? What do you like to see done first?
Let me think about that. I think I'd like to see a ban on weapons that are automatic.
Those are already banned. We only do semi-automatic right now, legally. Like AR-15s, it's one pull the trigger, one bullet.
Okay.
So, I mean, do you want to see those kind of rifles banned? Because handguns are kind of semi-automatic as well.
I'd see those rifles banned, yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.